I do a workshop on leadership training, and communication is honestly the biggest part of it. And every time I do it, I think this should be its own workshop
Yeah.
because it bleeds into everything. And also, with these skills we talk about in like leadership training, all of this, it has every bit to do with your personal life as well. Like it will benefit your personal relationships as well.
Yes. Absolutely. It's a transferable skill.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so I know that like my stats queen over here, any stats on retention and losing talent? Do you have numbers on that?
Oh, I do. I do. And they're according to the Society of Human Resource Management. So again,
Sherm! Sherm!
we love
Shout
Sherm.
out to Sherm.
Well,
um,
you're like
I'm a
in
board
Sherm.
member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a board member on the Philly chapter of SHRM. We actually have our annual symposium coming up, a little plug. So if you're in the Philly area, come to the SHRM symposium.
Oh man, I bet that would be awesome. I mean, there's just so much rich information within that organization. And
So much.
and you're like a
Definitely.
Sherm princess.
Thank you. Thank you. I've never been called that before, but thank you.
We'll get you a tiara and a name tag.
I appreciate it. I'm trying to be modest though.
That's all right. No, I mean, when you're putting in that kind of service, don't be modest. There's a lot that goes
Thank
to
you.
it.
There is.
Yeah.
So what has Sherm said? I'm
So
dying to know.
Sherm says that for every employee that you lose, you basically eat 1/3 of whatever their salary or wages are. So naturally, the higher paid ones, you're going to lose more outright. But that doesn't include the amount of time it takes to get a new employee up and running. That doesn't include the institutional knowledge that goes walking right out that door. That doesn't include the
Yep.
money that it takes to set up more interviews and taking other people away from their jobs to do it and trying to find the right person to get in there. You are so much better to retain employees. But I can tell you from personal experience, I've left a company because I was like, their communication's terrible and it's not getting better. And
Yeah.
moreover, what the leadership says they stand for, they obviously don't because they don't care enough about their employees to just make sure that we understand what they're saying. So you end up with
Yeah.
this employee revolving door, and it's expensive and it's hard on everybody. It creates this ripple effect because one person leaves and then two more people get their work and it's too much. So then they leave and now four more people and then they leave. And pretty soon there's actually a health system here in the area that, so when you're dealing with health system type stuff, you'll bring in some of the allied health nurses, radiology techs, PAs, MAs, that kind of thing. And if you can't hire people and keep people in, you'll hire what are called travelers. And these are people that work under contract for usually
Okay.
for 8 or 12 months, but you end up paying them almost twice as much. And there's a place here locally where all of their rad techs except one are travelers. That's money just tossed out the door because they couldn't keep people in the
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah. And that's, a lot of other kinds of businesses use agencies to do like temp placements, and you're going to be paying a lot. And also, if you're using recruiters to, let's say you don't have the time to spend doing that, finding new talent, you're going to be paying like 20%. That's the standard rate for a recruiter, and that's a lot,
Yes.
even if
Yes.
you have a lower salary. I feel like a big part of that too, like retaining talent and communication, is if you ask employees questions, right? So let's say you do an employee engagement survey, you're looking for feedback. If
Yes.
you're asking questions, you have to be prepared to take action on the answers.
Yes.
Bottom line, like
Yes.
it ties into employees being heard. If you're providing them space to be heard, even if you're unable to do what they're asking or everything they're asking, you at least have to acknowledge what they asked and give reasons why you can't act on it. So I just had that thought when you were talking about, employees being heard and like, oh, the employee engagement survey, sometimes they're sent with the best intentions, right? Like people think I'm going to be showing I'm an empathetic leader, an active listener, but then it falls away to the wayside. And honestly, it does more harm. So I always tell
Yes.
people to keep that in mind if you're asking questions like that.
Yes. Because it's exactly what you said. If you lose complete credibility, if you don't
Yeah.
take appropriate action on that, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
empathy, interestingly, because I'm sure you deal with this, speaking exactly of what you're talking about, there's three parts to it. So there's the initial part that we talked about where I feel what you're feeling. There's the second
Mm-hmm.
part where you feel something in a response to that stimulus. So I feel sad because you told me you just had to put your dog down. And the third part of that is a display of action in response to that feeling of discomfort, which sometimes is categorized as compassion. Not always. That's a problem with these things, is sometimes the definitions are a little loosey-goosey. But there's those three things. So exactly like you said, if you don't take action on that, even if that action is to say, I've considered it and this is just not the right way to go, but I've heard you, you've been heard,
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to know that you weren't dismissed. Without that action, it's not really empathy.